As long as everyone understands, we're ignoring a potential legal elephant in the room. I just want everyone to be aware of this.
Thank you for your input. Let's proceed with the purpose of the meeting. Back to where I started, Tom and Kathy, can you please give us an overview of the HVAC requirements for the base lodge and your requirements for capital funds and a deposit that needs to be issued today?
Well, as far as requirements for the HVAC, I'll turn it over to Pat McGonigal. He's the one that's been working with the group, with Joy, and he can tell you a little bit about what it is.
So once the idea of air conditioning in the main lodge was brought up, we started a competitive bid proposal process. It started about a year ago, working through that. Through that process, Joy's HVAC was elected as the low bidder, and we've been working with them to refine the project. We've reached that point. Once we received the final proposal, we talked to him about the availability of equipment. It was quite tight. It's actually in 2 or 3 different places across the country, but it does have a little tag down in Texas that says Gunstock on top of it. And that's, I believe, why you're at this meeting today, is to approve that project so we can purchase that equipment. And the idea would be to have air conditioning in the main lodge by Memorial Day weekend.
Kathy, can you address the fact that we have the significant funds?
I can. Usually on a yearly basis, our CapEx is usually what your depreciation is, so that's kind of the benchmark of funds. So this represents probably 12% of what our annual CapEx is. So that will be part of the overall makeup for 23, and this is just a deposit required, and we are funding this through the profit of Gunstock and do not need any outside financing. And this will be paid right out of our cash account.
Any commission, I realize that Commissioner Wood and Commissioner Strang and myself met with the provider this morning to get an overview of the installation. Are there any further questions of the commissioners before we call a vote on this?
And just so everyone knows, that was a workshop meeting. We did not discuss any strategy. We did not take any votes. That's perfectly allowed under our bylaws as well as 91A, so I don't want anyone to think that anything was done behind the scenes outside of the view of the public.
And Kathy, what it's $86,000 for deposit, and what is the total amount?
Actually, I believe the deposit's 68.
68, okay, I'm sorry.
66, in the 60s. And the whole project is estimated to be about $225,000.
225. So I'd like to make a motion that the commission approve the appropriation of up to $70,000 for deposit on the HVAC to be paid today, and up to $225,000 for the completion of the HVAC installation of the base lodge to be done in order to accommodate summer activities in the base lodge. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jade. Any further discussion?
I would just like to mention that my desire for the specifics concerning the HVAC project are satisfied. One of my priorities, going back to my appointment hearing, was to enhance our area's ability to be self-sustaining. And it is my belief, after my conversations and with all the information that I have received over the past week, that this project is a step in the right direction towards making this mountain self-sustaining through the off-season, and also to help us be even closer to not having to make the RAM request, which was also a huge priority for me. So at this point, I would like to say that I believe that all of the conditions relating to last week's motion, in terms of the information for my benefit, have been satisfied. I support it.
Thank you, Jade. And Jade, I want to thank you for coming forward yesterday. As you know, I had been asking for one other commissioner to join Rusty and myself to accommodate this meeting so that we could move the subject forward and not miss the summer season and the opportunity to get the HVAC installed. In other words, for us to conduct the business and move forward. So we have a motion, we have a second. I'll make a roll call for this. Jade, how do you vote?
Yes.
David, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rusty, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gary Kiedaisch, I vote yes. So if motion passes, you've got your capital, you can make your deposit. And that's the end of our business for today. Have a motion to close the meeting. The second?
Second.
Can I just
Second.
raise one point before we adjourn?
We have a second. We've got a motion to close and a second.
Okay, we have discussion?
Sure.
I'd really like to get away from this pattern of noticing public meetings 24 hours before they are held. When we had our March 1st special meeting, we notified the mountain over the weekend. No action was taken until Monday. Today's meeting was noticed yesterday. I've heard from Representative Harvey Bolia that this is not sitting well with the public. They think that we're hiding things by noticing 24 hours in advance, and I can fully understand how they would get that impression. I really think if we're going to have special meetings, and there's a lot to do here, so we probably are going to have special meetings in between our regularly scheduled meetings, we should do everything possible to avoid a 24-hour notice. So I just like that out on the table so that we can try and avoid that.
I agree, but let me make it clear, and so it goes on the record. I sent numerous emails this past week to you, to Commissioner Wood, and to Commissioner Ness, asking you to please come forward and join Rusty McClear and I to call this meeting so we didn't have to have this 11th hour. And God bless Jade Wood. She came forward yesterday at 10:25, was it?
I mean, if
And
we're
we
making
scrambled to
sausage,
get it
it's
done.
ugly sometimes, but sometimes we have to take on the business of the mountain when we
Right.
do need to. And I will take full responsibility for both of these meetings being last minute, because I didn't think that the lawsuit should continue any further, and I feel that we should absolutely have air conditioning in this lodge this summer. So if the public would like to blame me,
No, Jade.
open lines of communication, call
Jade,
me
Jade,
up.
it's not, Jade, it is not singly on your shoulders. You get the credit
I'm
for
proud of
stepping.
it.
You get the credit for stepping up and saying, "Let's do this." When you called me yesterday and realized that this was going to go the wrong way. The other two commissioners, Ness and
We
Strang.
okay to go buy our stuff and anything like that?
Yeah, let me close the meeting.
Okay.
So we've got a motion on the floor and a second to close. Jade, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
David, yes. Rusty?
Yes.
Gary, it's closed. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Croc TV.